if the Supreme Court rules in favor of the Biden administration in regards to implementing a federal vaccine mandate, will that effectively be the end of the American experiment? I think if a case can be made that there will be if the Supreme Court, it's a big if, of course, as I'm making this video today, I guess it's early wee hours of the morning of December 26th, 2021. So no ruling has been made yet. But just let's suppose the Supreme Court were to rule in favor of the Biden's administration's vaccine mandate. I believe that a case could be made that that would be tantamount to suspending the U.S. Constitution because of the very nature of the mandate, whereby it allows for coercion to occur that limits the person's ability to make a living, to sustain a living in this developed world, to be able to pay the bills, to avoid homelessness. So that's a great deal of pressure, undue pressure being put on to the citizen who is just trying to make a living, but does not want to get penetrated by Big Pharma's needle. Like I've said before, there's a fundamental difference between coercion in terms of restrictions being placed on your ability to engage in activities such as, for instance, drinking and driving, where that's a limitation on what you're able to do, versus a vaccine mandate, which uses coercion to have something done to you. That's a pretty important difference there. A vaccine mandate involves coercion that is very similar to the sort of coercion that the boss might put on to an employee that he wants to have sex with, whereby you can say, well, the boss is not, in such a case, the boss isn't saying, isn't actually forcing himself on, say, his secretary, but he is saying, well, you have to have sex with me or you're fired. And that is very similar in principle to a vaccine mandate, where the mandate says you must get penetrated by Big Pharma's needle or you're fired. So if this Biden mandate allows for, if the Supreme Court allows the mandate to go through, then that really would mean there would be no limitations on to what a presidential administration of any party can do to the people. So effectively it would allow the President of the United States to act as a dictatorship over the people, so that, that 100 employees or more than 100 employees allowance, or it's like if you're under 100 employees or it's less than 100 employees, then the mandate doesn't apply. That's just an arbitrary number. There's no reason that the Biden administration, if they don't get enough people to get vaccinated to their that pleases them, they could say, well, then now it's going to be all employers, and next thing it'll be, well, if you want to do business at all, you can't even be a home-based business with no employees. They could say that too. And then next thing you know, the Biden administration could say, well, some implants could come along that we want to put we're going to mandate that everybody have this implant that they'll give whatever reason. I don't know, it could be another virus, and they say, well, this implant protects you against this virus, so we're going to require you to have the implant implanted into you. It could be just a the excuse they come up with is it could be it will save lives, they'll say, or something like that. But of course, the real reason is that they wanted to use it to monitor you and surveil you, and maybe even zap you if you don't behave in the way that they want you to do. That if a Supreme Court ruling in favor of the vaccine mandate would, of course, allow a mandate to allow as future mandates to have implants put inside you that the government says, well, this is going to be to save lives. This is going to save so many lives. So we're going to implant, have everybody get this implant. Now, if the Supreme Court allows a vaccine mandate, what would be stopping an administration from also mandating implants, electronic implants? I don't see any limitation there. The sky's the limit of what could be done in terms of once that threshold is broken, once that allowance is made, then all bets are off, and it's basically the end of the American experiment. It's not the United States of America as we knew it beforehand. So I think this will be a monumental decision, most important decision in the history of the United States Supreme Court, I believe, because that'll be just the only thing will be limiting any administration in the future, whether the Biden administration or whatever party. The only thing that will be limiting them from being a totalitarian, a malevolent totalitarian regime would be, the only limitation would be either there'd be maybe some limitation on the malevolence, maybe they're not on the dictator, on the president, or they might be concerned about a total rebellion by people rebelling against that dictatorship. And of course, there's nothing safe about a civil war or revolutionary war. That should be kept in mind. But of course, I do not want either. I'm not suggesting either, but those would be the only limitations on the extent of a totalitarian dictatorship if the Supreme Court were to if they will call the vaccine mandate constitutional, then that's it. I think that's all bets are off. That's effectively the suspension of the United States Constitution and the end of the American experiment. And the only thing limiting the presidency will be their degree of how evil they are, or the president's concern about a rebellion against that dictatorship. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Of course, so it'll be monumental. Of course, I'm hoping for a decision against the Biden administration's vaccine mandate. So I certainly hope that the Supreme Court votes against the mandate. So I just wanted to put that out, get that idea out. So stay tuned, I guess. If you're watching, thanks for watching.